Sandra Bland. I want to talk about Sandra Bland for a minute. Charles Blow wrote a piece in today's New York Times titled "Questions About the Sandra Bland Case," and he has nailed so many very, very specific and, frankly, I think important points here. He starts out, this whole failure to change lanes. If you watch this video, you see that, if you watch it from the very beginning, which is long before he has pursued Sandra Bland, you see him just speeding up like a speed demon to catch up with her as he passes a speed limit sign that says 20 miles an hour. Now, which means she was probably going in the neighborhood of 20 miles an hour because he did not charge her with speeding. He zips up right behind her car. She pulls over to the right, like you do if an emergency vehicle comes up behind you fast. And police cars, are certainly in that category. And then he busts her for doing it. So, number one is setup. See, there was a great post on this over on Democratic Underground. In fact, I should have printed the thing out. Let me just get over there. Here we are. It's Fred Sanders posted his title, "3 Uppities and You're Dead." And he's like, imagine the Sandra Bland tragedy from the perspective of a racist white cop in a traditional and historically racist county in the American South. And here, and he goes through this whole list of things. I think this is a brilliant post. The South being all on edge over a black president being uppity for 7 years, all the gays being uppity, Chicago black liberals invading the South with uppity civil rights demands, the feds invading Texas with Jade Helm, Obamacare is legal. WTF is going on? Not to mention the Confederate flag coming down. What? All the while, the never-ending angry voices on radio and TV keep pounding into your hayseed brain that all that is true. It must be true. And then even the Pope gets in on the act, and the voices they keep shouting, the end is near, by gold, and so it seems. This is, a joke on listening to right-wing radio. All being directed by that Muslim-looking, loving Kenyan antichrist in the White House who stole the place by getting all the uppity blacks and browns and yellows to vote for him in an illegal election. So now, he says Fred Sanders over at Democratic Underground. And I'm assuming that he wrote this. In fact, let me look through this and just make sure it's not a link from someplace else. Yeah, it looks like he wrote this. So now, as seen by the racist white cop, you're on patrol in your little Dixie slice of racist white land heaven, and you see a late model car in front of you driving just as fine and carefree as an uppity black woman with Illinois plates on her late model car can be. Right? Okay. This racist cop does not know it yet, but he is about to be uppitied 3 times in 3 minutes. First, she changes lanes. Uh-oh. I would recalibrate this. I would say first, she's driving while black in a reasonably nice car. How dare she? Second, she's driving a car with Chicago plates. Oh, we've got an out-of-town black person here. We can have a whole lot more fun with her, right? I mean, this is just. And then he says, in his oh so nice Southern way, would you please put out that cigarette? And she says no. She goes uppity on him. And then it's, get out of the car! I want to light you up! With that kind of anger and hatred in his voice. You can hear it in the videotape. This cop, who is now on desk duty, he's still working in the police department, still drawing a paycheck. This man is a terrorist. He terrorized this woman, and God only knows how many other black people he terrorized before he terrorized her. Why is nobody calling it that? Black people in this country have been terrorized for 400 years or more. And nobody seems willing to call it terrorism. And don't get me started on what, Fox so-called, we're going to talk about Fox so-called news here in a few minutes. But anyhow, back to Charles Blow. He's got, and there's another great piece over at the Center for American Progress's blog, Think Progress, about the size of the white racist the institutionalized, what's the word? Official, I guess, white racist infrastructure. You got the Klan down there in South Carolina protesting the flag coming down. You've got, it's. You've got the white supremacists. You got the White People's League. You got the Southern Conservative League. You've got, there's actually, if you want to be a white racist in this country, there are a whole bunch of people who will open their arms and embrace you. So back to Charles Blow. His first question is, did this cop set the whole thing up, basically? These are my words, not his, but he says, was Bland simply trying to move out of the way of a police vehicle? If so, is that worth being put in jail for 3 days? Now, the police down in Texas, they're saying, well, she said on her form when we did intake on her that she had tried to commit suicide once. And she said on Facebook once that she was a little depressed. Suicide is actually the second leading cause of death behind illness among people in county jails in America. I understand this. When I was 17 years old and I was arrested and affiliated with anti-war activity, shall we say, back in the day. And it's a damn scary thing to be locked in a cell. I mean, it's a damn scary thing. And I thought about suicide. But no matter what, I still think that her death is a suspicious death, and I'm not willing to even say that she did commit suicide. And we need to find out. But anyhow, the officer then asks her to put out the cigarette, and when she says no, he drags her out of there. He says, "I'm going to drag you out of the car." As Charles Blow says, what statute in Texas or anywhere in America stipulates that a citizen can't smoke during a traffic stop? And this cop is still working in the police department, this terrorist cop? And then he writes it up. This is Encenia, Officer Encenia. He writes up that Bland was removed from the car and placed in handcuffs for officer safety. Did you see her threatening him? Somehow I missed that. He says, "You were getting a warning until now. You're going to jail." Okay, so you're going to jail for what? The affidavit that the officer wrote reads, Bland was placed under arrest for assault on a public servant. I don't know about you, but this is like over the top for me. By the way, we'll get to these other things as we go through the show here today, tomorrow, or second or third hour. Assuming my face denumbs a little bit, I can still talk. We'll pick up your calls, too. It's Anything Goes Summer. We'll be right back.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
3 uppities in the South, and you're nailed. This has got to stop. White supremacy, it's got to stop.